Leftist policies often emphasize the welfare of workers and prioritize creating safe and healthy work environments. Here are some ways leftist policies positively impact safety in industrial workplaces. Leftist governments tend to advocate for stringent workplace safety regulations and robust enforcement mechanisms. Leftist policies often result in the establishment of detailed safety standards for various industries, ensuring that workplaces adhere to high safety norms. Enhanced regulatory frameworks typically involve more frequent and thorough inspections of industrial sites to ensure compliance with safety regulations. This proactive approach to regulation helps prevent accidents before they occur by identifying potential hazards and rectifying them promptly. Leftist policies focus on empowering workers, which can significantly contribute to safer workplaces. Leftist policies often support the formation and strengthening of labor unions, which advocate for better safety standards and practices in workplaces, and through collective bargaining, unions can negotiate for improved safety measures, better training, and adequate protective equipment for workers. Empowered workers are more likely to report unsafe conditions and demand improvements, leading to a safer work environment overall. Investing in worker education and training is a hallmark of leftist policies. Leftist policies often mandate comprehensive safety training programs for workers, ensuring they are well informed about potential hazards and best practices to avoid accidents. Ongoing training and education initiatives help workers stay updated on new safety protocols and technologies. This continuous learning process not only improves individual worker safety, but also fosters a culture of safety within the workplace. Leftist policies usually promote transparency and accountability in workplace safety. Policies that protect whistleblowers encourage workers to report unsafe conditions without fear of retaliation. Requirements for public reporting of workplace injuries and accidents increase accountability and pressure companies to maintain safer environments. Transparency in reporting allows for better tracking of safety performance and identification of areas needing improvement. The health and well-being of workers are central to leftist policies. Leftist policies often advocate for comprehensive health benefits that include coverage for work-related injuries and illnesses, promoting overall worker well-being. A focus on mental health support, including stress management programs and counseling services, helps create a safer and more supportive workplace environment. Addressing both physical and mental health needs ensures that workers are in optimal condition to perform their duties safely. Investment in modern technology and infrastructure to enhance workplace safety is a common feature of leftist policies. Leftist governments often encourage or mandate the adoption of advanced safety technologies, such as automated safety systems, real-time monitoring, and ergonomic equipment. Investments in improving workplace infrastructure, such as ventilation systems, lighting, and safe machinery, contribute to a safer industrial environment. These technological advancements help prevent accidents and reduce the severity of incidents when they do occur. Creating inclusive and fair workplaces is another positive aspect of leftist policies. Policies that prevent discrimination and promote equality help create a respectful and supportive workplace culture, reducing stress and related safety issues. Ensuring fair wages and reasonable working hours reduces worker fatigue and stress, which are significant contributors to workplace accidents. When workers feel valued and respected, they are more likely to be engaged and adhere to safety protocols. Leftist policies often emphasize corporate responsibility for worker safety. Stringent penalties for non-compliance with safety regulations deter companies from neglecting workplace safety. Encouraging or mandating corporate responsibility programs ensures that companies invest in sustainable and safe working conditions. Holding companies accountable for their safety practices creates a business environment where worker safety is a top priority. Leftist policies play a crucial role in enhancing safety in industrial workplaces through strong regulatory frameworks, worker empowerment, investment in training and education, transparency, health and well-being initiatives, technological and infrastructure investments, inclusivity, and corporate accountability. These policies collectively contribute to creating safer, healthier, and more supportive work environments for industrial workers. By focusing on the needs and rights of workers, leftist policies help build a workforce that is not only protected from harm but also motivated and empowered to contribute to a productive and sustainable industrial sector.
The development of democracy in the United States has been characterized by a dynamic interplay between federal centralization and regional decentralization. This process has evolved over centuries, shaped by historical events, political philosophies, and legal interpretations. Here is an overview of this development. The early foundations of the United States, 1776 to 1789, were marked by a strong preference for regional decentralization. The Articles of Confederation 1781 to 1789, the first governing document of the U.S., established a weak central government with limited powers, reflecting the colonists' fear of centralized authority. Under the Articles, states retained significant sovereignty and independence, managing their affairs with minimal interference from the central government. Recognizing the inadequacies of the Articles, the Constitutional Convention in 1787 resulted in the U.S. Constitution, which created a stronger federal government with distinct executive, legislative, and judicial branches. This marked a shift towards federal centralization, addressing the need for a more effective national government while still preserving state powers. In the early Republic 1789 to 1860, the tension between federal centralization and regional decentralization continued to shape American democracy. Early Federalist leaders like Alexander Hamilton advocated for a strong central government to manage economic policies, defense, and foreign affairs. And Supreme Court decisions during this period, such as Marbury v. Madison 1803 and McCulloch v. Maryland 1819, established federal judicial review and upheld federal supremacy over state laws. However, the states' rights movement, championed by anti-federalists and later Jeffersonian Republicans, advocated for limited federal power and greater regional autonomy. This tension culminated in the nullification crisis 1832 to 1833, when South Carolina attempted to nullify federal tariffs, highlighting the ongoing struggle between state and federal authorities. The Civil War and Reconstruction period 1861 to 1877 significantly shifted the balance towards federal centralization. The Civil War 1861 to 1865 was fundamentally about the preservation of the Union and federal authority over states' rights, particularly concerning slavery. The Reconstruction Amendments, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, significantly expanded federal power to enforce civil rights and protect individual liberties, particularly for former slaves. Despite these federal efforts, post-war Southern states implemented black codes and later Jim Crow laws to circumvent federal civil rights protections, asserting regional autonomy and social policies. From the Progressive Era to the New Deal 1890s, 1940s, federal centralization increased markedly. Progressive reforms in the early 20th century led to increased federal regulation of business, labor, and social issues through measures like antitrust laws and labor protections. The New Deal policies 1933 to 1939, in response to the Great Depression, vastly expanded federal government involvement in economic and social welfare programs. Despite these federal initiatives, states continued to experiment with their own social and economic policies, often serving as laboratories of democracy. In the post-World War II era, 1945, 1980s, federal centralization continued to grow, particularly in the realm of civil rights. The federal government played a critical role in dismantling segregation and ensuring civil rights through legislation, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and court decisions like Brown v. Board of Education 1954. LBJ's Great Society programs further expanded federal involvement in healthcare, Medicare, Medicaid, education, and poverty alleviation. However, many Southern states resisted federal civil rights mandates, leading to significant federal-state tensions. The devolution movements, particularly under Nixon and Reagan, emphasized returning certain powers and responsibilities to state governments, highlighting a push for regional decentralization. In the contemporary period 1990s present, the balance between federal centralization and regional decentralization continues to be dynamic. Federal mandates and preemption have seen significant federal intervention in areas such as healthcare reform, Affordable Care Act, education, No Child Left Behind, and Homeland Security. Supreme Court rulings in recent years have both expanded and limited federal power in various contexts, reflecting ongoing tensions. States continue to lead in areas such as environmental regulation, marijuana legalization, and same-sex marriage prior to federal legalization, often pushing the federal government to respond. Ongoing debates about the balance of power, particularly in areas like immigration, gun control, and public health, highlight the dynamic nature of American federalism. The developmental process of democracy in the USA reflects a continuous balancing act between federal centralization and regional decentralization. This interplay has shaped the nation's political landscape, adapting to changing social, economic, and political conditions. The tension between these forces ensures a dynamic and flexible democratic system capable of evolving with the times. The history of American democracy is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of its institutions, constantly negotiating the balance between unity and diversity, central authority, and local autonomy.
The evolution of gunpowder has been a game-changer in world history, influencing warfare, politics, and society in profound ways. Here's a breakdown of its development and historical impact. Gunpowder, known as black powder, was first invented in China during the Tang Dynasty in the 9th century. It was a mix of sulfur, charcoal, and potassium nitrate saltpeter. Initially used for fireworks and signals, it quickly found applications in warfare, such as fire arrows, bombs, and early forms of guns like the fire lance. The invention of gunpowder marked a significant turning point in military technology and tactics. Through the Silk Road, gunpowder technology spread to the Middle East by the 13th century, and then to Europe. Middle Eastern and European inventors adapted gunpowder for military use, leading to the development of cannons and handheld firearms. This adaptation had far-reaching implications for warfare, state formation, and the balance of power across regions. The introduction of cannons revolutionized siege warfare during the medieval and early modern periods, making previously impregnable castles and city walls vulnerable. The development of muskets and arquebuses changed infantry tactics, reducing the dominance of heavily armored knights and shifting the balance toward infantry and artillery units. Gunpowder weapons were also adapted for naval use, leading to the creation of powerful warships armed with cannons. This transformation in naval battles allowed for the projection of power overseas and significantly impacted global trade and exploration. The widespread use of gunpowder weapons contributed to the military revolution's 16th-17th centuries, where states centralized power to maintain large, professional armies equipped with firearms and artillery. This centralization of power facilitated the formation of modern states and the decline of feudalism. European states, empowered by superior gunpowder weapons, were able to establish and expand overseas empires, profoundly affecting the political and social structures of the colonized regions. The effectiveness of gunpowder weapons in breaking castle walls and defeating knights contributed to the decline of feudalism and the rise of centralized monarchies and modern states. The need for trained soldiers to operate complex gunpowder weapons led to the development of standing armies, changing the nature of military service and society's relationship with warfare. The shift from feudal levies to professional soldiers had significant social and economic implications, as governments needed to find new ways to fund and support large, permanent military forces. Improvements in the production and refinement of gunpowder from the 17th to 19th centuries made it more powerful and reliable. The introduction of rifling grooves in the barrel improved the accuracy and range of firearms, leading to the development of rifles. The Industrial Revolution allowed for the mass production of gunpowder and firearms, making them more accessible and further changing military tactics and societal structures. Advances in chemistry led to the development of more powerful explosives, such as TNT, which replaced black powder in many applications by the late 19th century. Gunpowder paved the way for the development of modern firearms, including automatic weapons, which have had a profound impact on modern warfare and law enforcement. While traditional gunpowder has been largely replaced by more advanced propellants and explosives, its basic principles still underpin much of modern ammunition and explosives technology. Firearms have also had significant social implications, influencing crime, law enforcement, and personal protection. The widespread availability of firearms has led to ongoing debates over gun control, rights, and public safety. The evolution of gunpowder from a simple chemical mixture to a cornerstone of modern military technology has dramatically reshaped human history. It revolutionized warfare, contributed to the rise and fall of empires, altered social structures, and continues to influence global politics and society today. The impact of gunpowder is evident in the way nations defend themselves, project power, and maintain order. Its legacy is a testament to the profound and lasting effects of technological innovation on human civilization.
Singapore's linguistic education system is a critical component in fostering national unity and integrity among its citizens. The country's unique approach to multilingual education has several key features and impacts. Singapore's bilingual education policy requires every student to learn English and their designated mother tongue Mandarin, Malay, or Tamil. This policy ensures proficiency in English, the lingua franca, while preserving and respecting the cultural heritage of the main ethnic groups. The use of English as a common language serves as a unifying medium of instruction across diverse ethnic groups, facilitating communication and mutual understanding among citizens. At the same time, learning mother tongues helps maintain cultural identity and promotes respect for different ethnic traditions and values. The curriculum design in Singapore integrates multiple languages into the educational framework. English is the main language of instruction for most subjects, while mother tongue languages are taught as separate subjects. This approach ensures that all students can access high-quality education while staying connected to their cultural roots. By integrating these languages, the education system fosters an inclusive environment where all cultural backgrounds are valued. Language education includes lessons on cultural history and civic responsibility, instilling a sense of pride and belonging in students. Singapore's approach to language and national identity promotes multiculturalism. Schools celebrate festivals and events from different cultures, promoting appreciation and understanding among students. Proficiency in multiple languages equips citizens to participate effectively in a globalized economy while fostering a strong national identity. Multicultural education encourages students to respect and appreciate different cultures, reducing ethnic tensions and promoting social harmony. By learning about each other's languages and cultures, citizens develop a shared sense of identity and common purpose. The government provides robust support and policies to enhance linguistic education. Significant investments are made in training teachers to deliver high-quality bilingual education. Various programs and initiatives support language learning, including immersion programs, language camps, and exchange programs. Government support ensures that all students, regardless of their background, have access to quality language education. Consistent policies and resources help maintain high standards of education across the country, contributing to a cohesive and unified society. Singapore's linguistic education system has led to impressive outcomes and global competitiveness. The country consistently ranks high in international educational assessments, reflecting the effectiveness of its bilingual education system. Proficiency in English and mother tongue languages prepares students for global opportunities, enhancing Singapore's competitiveness on the world stage. A well-educated, multilingual workforce drives economic growth and national development. High academic and economic achievements foster a sense of pride and integrity among citizens, reinforcing national unity. Singapore's linguistic education system plays a vital role in fostering national integrity and unity. By promoting bilingualism, integrating cultural education, and ensuring equal access to high-quality education, Singapore cultivates a cohesive, multicultural society where citizens are connected through a shared language and cultural appreciation. This approach not only strengthens national identity but also prepares citizens to thrive in a globalized world. Through its comprehensive and inclusive linguistic education system, Singapore continues to build a strong, united, and competitive nation.
South Korea deployed 3 main military divisions to Vietnam during the Vietnam War. These divisions, known for their discipline, effectiveness, and significant contributions to the war effort, played a critical role in supporting South Vietnam against the North Vietnamese and Viet Cong forces. Here's a detailed look at each of these divisions and their impact. The Blue Dragon Brigade was the first South Korean combat unit deployed to Vietnam, arriving in October 1965. This deployment marked a significant step in South Korea's commitment to the Vietnam War, highlighting their alliance with the United States and their dedication to combating communism in Asia. The brigade was primarily involved in counterinsurgency operations, securing key coastal regions, and participating in major battles. They operated extensively in the Quang, Ingai, and Quang Nam provinces, where they engaged in numerous combat missions aimed at neutralizing Viet Cong and North Vietnamese Army NVA forces. The Blue Dragon Brigade was known for its aggressive tactics, rigorous discipline, and effectiveness in jungle warfare, often conducting operations in challenging terrains and under difficult conditions. One of the notable operations involving the Blue Dragon Brigade was Operation Van Buren. This operation aimed to secure the Tai Hoa Valley, an area of strategic importance due to its location and resources. The brigade played a crucial role in clearing the valley of Viet Cong forces, disrupting their supply lines, and establishing control over the region. Another significant operation was Operation Hong Kil Dong, where the Blue Dragon Brigade effectively cleared Viet Cong forces from the Tai Hoa region. This operation further demonstrated their capability in executing large-scale, coordinated attacks and securing key territories. The Tiger Division was deployed to Vietnam in September 1965, shortly after the Blue Dragon Brigade. This division was one of the most prominent and well-regarded South Korean units in Vietnam, known for its combat effectiveness and high standards of discipline. The Tiger Division conducted numerous search and destroy missions and was responsible for securing areas in the Central Highlands and Phu Yen Province. Their operations were characterized by rigorous discipline, thorough planning, and a relentless pursuit of enemy forces. The division played a vital role in securing key supply routes and protecting important infrastructure from Viet Cong attacks. The Tiger Division distinguished itself in the Battle of Trong Lung, successfully defending against a major Viet Cong assault. This engagement demonstrated their strategic prowess and ability to repel large-scale enemy attacks effectively. The division also participated in Operation Maeng Ho, a series of operations targeting Viet Cong strongholds in the Central Highlands. These operations significantly disrupted enemy activities, weakened their control over key areas, and enhanced the overall security of the region. The White Horse Division was the last major South Korean unit deployed to Vietnam, arriving in September 1966. Despite being the last to arrive, the division quickly made its mark with its effective combat strategies and dedication. Stationed mainly in the Binh Dinh province, the White Horse Division was involved in both offensive operations against Viet Cong forces and defensive operations to protect key infrastructure. They conducted numerous search and destroy missions, provided security for critical areas, and engaged in direct combat with enemy forces. One of the division's significant engagements was the Battle of Bong Son. In this critical battle, the White Horse Division played a pivotal role, contributing to a major victory over Viet Cong forces. Their effective tactics and coordination with other allied units were crucial in securing this strategic area. During Operation White Horse, the division conducted extensive combat operations to clear Viet Cong forces from the An Lao Valley. This operation was successful in disrupting enemy supply lines and reducing their operational capabilities in the region. The South Korean divisions were known for their combat effectiveness, strict discipline, and rigorous training. Their presence and actions significantly contributed to the overall military efforts in Vietnam, often being praised by U.S. commanders for their performance. The effectiveness of these divisions in various operations helped to maintain control over critical regions and weaken the capabilities of Viet Cong and NVA forces. South Korean forces suffered significant casualties during their involvement in Vietnam. Approximately 5,099 South Korean soldiers were killed, and over 10,000 were wounded. These losses reflect the intensity of the conflict and the significant role South Korean forces played in numerous combat operations. These divisions were instrumental in securing key regions, including coastal areas and the Central Highlands. By maintaining control over these strategic areas, they ensured the protection of vital supply routes and infrastructure, which were essential for the overall war effort. Their focus on counter-insurgency operations helped disrupt Viet Cong activities, provided stability in the regions they operated, and supported the broader objectives of the U.S. and South Vietnamese forces. The involvement of South Korean forces in Vietnam solidified the U.S.-South Korea alliance. The substantial military support provided by South Korea was reciprocated with increased military and economic aid from the United States, which played a crucial role in South Korea's post-war recovery and development. The financial support and economic opportunities arising from their participation in the Vietnam War contributed to South Korea's rapid economic growth during the 1960s and 1970s. The war provided contracts for South Korean companies to supply goods and services to the U.S. military, boosting the country's industrial sector. The deployment of the Blue Dragon Brigade, Tiger Division, and White Horse Division showcased South Korea's military capabilities and commitment to the anti-communist cause during the Vietnam War. Their involvement had significant military, political, and economic implications, shaping South Korea's development and reinforcing its strategic alliance with the United States. The contributions and sacrifices of these divisions remain an important chapter in South Korea's military history and its role in international conflicts.
Lack of sleep has been increasingly linked to a variety of health issues, including cancer. Here's a comprehensive explanation of how insufficient sleep might contribute to cancer development, with a focus on the underlying mechanisms and broader implications. The body's internal clock, known as the circadian rhythm, regulates the 24-hour cycle of biological processes, including sleep-wake cycles, hormone release, and cell regeneration. This internal clock is synchronized with environmental cues, primarily light and darkness, which helps maintain the timing of these processes. Melatonin, a hormone produced by the pineal gland at night, plays a crucial role in regulating sleep and has antioxidant properties that help protect against cellular damage. Insufficient sleep or exposure to light at night suppresses melatonin production. Reduced melatonin levels can lead to increased oxidative stress and DNA damage, both of which are linked to cancer. Melatonin not only regulates sleep but also acts as a free radical scavenger, neutralizing harmful oxidative molecules that can damage cellular components, including DNA. This protective function of melatonin is compromised when sleep is disrupted, leading to a higher likelihood of mutations and genomic instability, which are precursors to cancer development. Circadian rhythm disruption affects the expression of genes involved in cell cycle regulation and DNA repair. The circadian clock controls the timing of cell division and the expression of key regulatory proteins that ensure accurate DNA replication and repair. When the circadian rhythm is disrupted, the synchronization of these processes is lost, leading to errors in DNA replication and insufficient repair of damaged DNA. These errors can accumulate over time, increasing the risk of uncontrolled cell growth and cancer. Adequate sleep is essential for maintaining a healthy immune system. During sleep, the body produces cytokines, proteins that help fight infections and inflammation. Cytokines play a critical role in the immune response by signaling immune cells to target and eliminate pathogens and abnormal cells, including cancer cells. Natural killer NK cells, a type of lymphocyte, play a vital role in detecting and destroying cancer cells. NK cells are part of the innate immune system and are among the first responders to potential threats. Lack of sleep reduces cytokine production, weakening the immune response and increasing susceptibility to infections and diseases, including cancer. Sleep deprivation also decreases the activity of NK cells, reducing the body's ability to target and eliminate cancerous cells. Studies have shown that even partial sleep deprivation can significantly impair NK cell function, diminishing the body's natural defense against tumor formation and progression. While acute inflammation is a normal response to injury or infection, chronic inflammation can damage tissues and lead to various diseases, including cancer. Inflammation is a complex biological response involving the release of signaling molecules, immune cell activation, and increased blood flow to affected areas. Chronic inflammation promotes an environment conducive to cancer development by causing DNA damage, promoting cellular proliferation, and inhibiting apoptosis-programmed cell death. Apoptosis is a critical mechanism that eliminates damaged or abnormal cells, preventing them from becoming cancerous. A lack of sleep elevates levels of inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein CRP and interleukin-6 IL-6. These markers indicate the presence of inflammation in the body. Chronic inflammation can create a microenvironment that supports the initiation and progression of cancer. For example, inflammatory cells release reactive oxygen species ROAS and other mutagenic agents that can induce DNA mutations. Additionally, inflammatory cytokines promote cell survival and proliferation by activating signaling pathways that counteract apoptosis. Sleep deprivation can lead to insulin resistance, a condition where cells do not respond properly to insulin, resulting in elevated blood sugar levels. Insulin resistance is a hallmark of metabolic syndrome and is associated with an increased risk of developing type 2 diabetes and obesity. Both diabetes and obesity are significant risk factors for various cancers, including breast, colon, and prostate cancers. Elevated blood sugar levels and insulin resistance create an environment that supports cancer cell growth and proliferation. Lack of sleep is also associated with weight gain and obesity, both of which are risk factors for cancer. Sleep plays a critical role in regulating appetite and metabolism. Insufficient sleep disrupts the balance of hunger-regulating hormones such as ghrelin and leptin, leading to increased appetite and cravings for high-calorie foods. This disruption contributes to weight gain and the accumulation of adipose tissue, which can produce inflammatory cytokines and other bioactive molecules that promote cancer development. Sleep is crucial for the regulation of growth hormones that play a role in cell growth and repair. Growth hormone GH is primarily secreted during deep sleep and stimulates cellular growth, protein synthesis, and tissue repair. Disrupted sleep can alter GH levels, potentially leading to abnormal cell proliferation. Inadequate GH secretion can impair tissue regeneration and increase the risk of cellular abnormalities that may progress to cancer. Insufficient sleep can also affect levels of sex hormones such as estrogen and testosterone, which have been linked to hormone-sensitive cancers like breast and prostate cancer. Sleep deprivation can disrupt the hormonal balance by affecting the hypothalamic-pituitary-gonadal axis, a complex network of interactions that regulate hormone production. Altered levels of sex hormones can influence the development and progression of hormone-sensitive cancers by promoting cell proliferation and inhibiting apoptosis. People who do not get enough sleep may be more likely to engage in unhealthy behaviors such as poor diet and lack of physical activity, both of which are risk factors for cancer. Sleep-deprived individuals may also be more prone to using substances like alcohol and tobacco, which are well-known carcinogens. Alcohol consumption increases the risk of cancers such as liver, breast, and colorectal cancer, while tobacco use is the leading cause of lung cancer and contributes to various other cancers. The relationship between lack of sleep and cancer is complex and multifaceted. Disruption of circadian rhythms, impaired immune function, increased inflammation, metabolic and hormonal dysregulation, and associated unhealthy behaviors all contribute to the increased cancer risk observed in sleep-deprived individuals. Each of these factors alone can increase cancer risk, but when combined, they create a synergistic effect that further amplifies the likelihood of cancer development.
promoting good sleep hygiene and ensuring adequate sleep are essential for maintaining overall health and potentially reducing cancer risk. Good sleep hygiene involves practices that promote consistent, high-quality sleep, such as maintaining a regular sleep schedule, creating a comfortable sleep environment, and avoiding stimulants like caffeine and electronic devices before bedtime. Public health initiatives and further research are needed to fully understand the mechanisms linking sleep deprivation to cancer and to develop effective prevention strategies. Public health initiatives should focus on raising awareness about the importance of sleep for health and the potential risks associated with sleep deprivation. Educational campaigns can inform the public about the benefits of good sleep hygiene and provide practical tips for improving sleep quality. Additionally, workplace policies that promote work-life balance and reduce stress can help employees achieve adequate sleep. Further research is essential to elucidate the precise mechanisms by which sleep deprivation contributes to cancer development. Understanding these mechanisms can inform the development of targeted interventions and treatments. Researchers should also investigate the potential benefits of interventions aimed at improving sleep, such as cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, and pharmacological treatments in reducing cancer risk. In conclusion, lack of sleep has profound effects on various physiological processes that can increase the risk of cancer. Disruption of circadian rhythms, impaired immune function, increased inflammation, metabolic and hormonal dysregulation, and unhealthy behaviors associated with sleep deprivation all contribute to this increased risk. By promoting good sleep hygiene, raising public awareness, and supporting further research, we can take steps to mitigate these risks and improve overall health outcomes. Ensuring adequate sleep is not only vital for individual well-being but also a crucial component of public health strategies aimed at reducing the burden of cancer.
The Qing dynasty's conquest of Xinjiang and its impact on the Uyghur people is a significant chapter in the history of China. This period, spanning from the 17th to the 19th century, saw extensive military campaigns, administrative measures, and cultural changes that reshaped the region's demographic and social landscape. This detailed overview will delve into the background, conquest, administration, and long-term consequences of the Qing dynasty's actions in Xinjiang. Xinjiang, located in the northwest of modern-day China, has historically been a crossroads of cultures and trade routes, including the famous Silk Road. The region's strategic position made it a valuable asset for controlling trade between East Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East. Xinjiang has been home to various ethnic groups, including the Uyghurs, Kazakhs, Kyrgyzs, and Tajiks. These groups have coexisted in a complex mosaic of cultures and languages, with the Uyghurs emerging as a dominant group in the region. The Uyghurs established several kingdoms in Xiang, most notably the Karakhanate Khanate and later the Kingdom of Kocho. These kingdoms were influential in spreading Buddhism and later Islam throughout the region. The conversion to Islam began in the 10th century, and by the time of the Qing conquest, Islam had become the predominant religion among the Uyghurs, shaping their cultural and social structures. The Qing dynasty, which ruled China from 1644 to 1912, recognized the strategic and economic importance of Xinjiang. The region was crucial for securing the western frontiers and controlling key trade routes that facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. The Qing dynasty's interest in expanding its influence westward began in earnest during the reign of the Kangxi Emperor 1661 to 1722. Initial military expeditions were launched to subdue Mongol tribes and other groups posing threats to the Qing's western borders. The Qing dynasty's conquest of Xinjiang began with the defeat of the Dzungar Khanate. The Dzungars, a confederation of Mongol tribes, had dominated Xinjiang before the Qing intervention. The Dzungar Khanate was a formidable power in the region, posing a significant threat to Qing ambitions. The Qing launched several military campaigns against the Dzungars, culminating in their complete defeat in 1759. The campaigns were marked by strategic military maneuvers and the deployment of substantial Qing forces to subdue the Dzungar resistance. The Qing used brutal tactics to suppress the Dzungar resistance, including widespread massacres. Historical records estimate that up to 80% of the Dzungar population was wiped out through warfare, starvation, and disease. This mass extermination is considered one of the most severe genocides of the 18th century. The near-total destruction of the Dzungar population created a significant demographic vacuum in Xinjiang, which the Qing sought to fill by encouraging migration from other parts of China and Central Asia. After defeating the Dzungars, the Qing turned their attention to consolidating power in Xinjiang. This involved subduing various local rulers and securing the loyalty of different ethnic groups, including the Uyghurs. The conquest was met with resistance from local populations. The Qing faced several rebellions, most notably the revolt of the Altishar Khojas 1757 to 1759, led by Uyghur leaders Burhanuddin and Khwaja I-Jahan. The Qing crushed these uprisings with significant force, further consolidating their control over the region. The Qing initially governed Xinjiang through military governors who oversaw the pacification and administration of the region. They established a system of forts and garrisons to maintain order and deter further rebellions. To integrate Xinjiang into the Qing Empire, the government implemented various policies, including land redistribution, the promotion of agriculture, and the establishment of administrative structures similar to those in other parts of China. The Qing implemented land reforms to redistribute land and encourage agriculture. These reforms aimed to boost agricultural productivity and stabilize the region economically. The Qing established agricultural colonies to promote the settlement of Han Chinese and other ethnic groups in Xinjiang. These colonies were designed to increase food production and integrate the local economy with the broader Qing economic system. The Qing encouraged Han Chinese and other ethnic groups to settle in Xinjiang to strengthen their control and promote economic development. This policy led to significant demographic changes in the region, altering the ethnic composition and increasing Han Chinese presence. Various incentives such as land grants and tax exemptions were offered to settlers to encourage migration to Xinjiang. These measures aimed to create a loyal and productive population base to support Qing rule. The Qing were relatively tolerant of Islamic practices, allowing the construction of mosques and the practice of Islamic law Sharia in civil matters. This tolerance was part of a broader strategy to maintain stability and garner the support of the Uyghur population. While allowing religious practices, the Qing kept a close watch on religious leaders to prevent uprisings. They sought to co-opt influential figures within the Islamic community to secure their loyalty. The Qing encouraged the assimilation of local cultures into the broader Chinese cultural sphere, promoting Confucian values and administrative practices. This included the introduction of Chinese language education and the adoption of Chinese legal and administrative systems. Despite assimilation efforts, the Qing also allowed a degree of cultural autonomy to maintain stability. This included the preservation of local customs, traditions, and languages, which helped placate the diverse ethnic groups in Xinjiang. The Qing conquest of Xinjiang laid the foundation for the region's integration into the Chinese state. Xinjiang remained part of China even after the fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912, becoming a province of the Republic of China and later the People's Republic of China. Successive Chinese governments, including the Republic of China and the People's Republic of China, have maintained control over Xinjiang, often facing resistance and unrest from the Uyghur population. The Uyghurs have continued to resist Chinese control, leading to periods of unrest and rebellion. The most notable uprisings include the Kumail Rebellion 1931 to 1934 and the East Turkestan independence movements in the 20th and 21st centuries. In recent years, the Chinese government's policies in Xinjiang have drawn international criticism for human rights abuses, including mass detentions, surveillance, and cultural repression of the Uyghur people. Reports of re-education camps, forced labor, and restrictions on religious and cultural practices have sparked global condemnation. The Qing dynasty's encouragement of Han Chinese migration to Xinjiang set a precedent for subsequent Chinese governments. Today, the demographic landscape of the Xinjiang reflects a significant Han Chinese presence alongside the indigenous Uyghur population. The influx of Han Chinese settlers has led to cultural blending but also tension as Uyghurs and other ethnic groups seek to preserve their cultural and religious identity amidst ongoing efforts to assimilate them into the dominant Han Chinese culture. The Qing dynasty's conquest of Xinjiang was a complex and brutal process that involved military campaigns, strategic administration, and efforts to integrate the region into the broader Chinese empire. The conquest had profound and lasting impacts on the Uyghur people and other ethnic groups in the region. While it secured Qing control over a strategic frontier, it also sowed the seeds of ongoing ethnic tensions and resistance that continue to shape the region's history to this day. The legacy of the Qing conquest is evident in the contemporary struggles and the geopolitical importance of Xinjiang within China. The conquest of Xinjiang by the Qing dynasty represents a significant moment in Chinese history, illustrating the empire's expansionist ambitions and the methods used to secure and consolidate power. The impacts of this conquest are still felt today, highlighting the enduring challenges of integrating diverse ethnic and cultural groups within a unified national framework. The story of Xinjiang's conquest and its aftermath provides crucial insights into the complexities of imperial governance, cultural assimilation, and the long-term consequences of colonial and military domination.
Germany has produced some of the most influential philosophers in the history of Western thought. These thinkers have shaped numerous fields, including metaphysics, epistemology, ethics, political theory, and aesthetics. Their contributions have had a profound impact on philosophy and continue to be studied and debated today. Here, we explore the lives and ideas of some of the most significant German philosophers, highlighting their contributions and the broader context of their work. Immanuel Kant, born in Königsberg in 1724, is often regarded as one of the central figures in modern philosophy. Kant's critical philosophy sought to address the limitations and scope of human understanding. His most famous work, Critique of Pure Reason, aimed to resolve the conflict between rationalist and empiricist traditions. Kant argued that while our knowledge begins with experience, not all of it arises from experience. He proposed that the mind plays an active role in shaping our perceptions of the world through innate categories and concepts. This revolutionary idea laid the groundwork for much of contemporary epistemology and metaphysics. Kant's critique of practical reason and groundwork of the metaphysics of morals also introduced his moral philosophy, which is centered on the concept of the categorical imperative. According to Kant, moral actions are those performed out of duty and guided by universalizable principles. His ideas on autonomy, duty, and moral law have been immensely influential in both ethical theory and political philosophy. Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, born in 1770 in Stuttgart, is another towering figure in German philosophy. Hegel's work is known for its complexity and ambition, seeking to explain the development of reality and human consciousness through a dialectical process. In his seminal work, Phenomenology of Spirit, Hegel explores the progression of consciousness from sense perception to absolute knowing. He famously introduced the concept of the dialectic, often encapsulated in the triad of thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. This process describes the dynamic and contradictory nature of reality, where opposing forces interact to produce higher levels of understanding and development. Hegel's Science of Logic and Encyclopedia of the Philosophical Sciences further elaborate his comprehensive system, which includes logic, nature, and spirit. His ideas on the state, civil society, and history have profoundly influenced political theory, particularly Marxism and existentialism. Hegel's assertion that reality is rational and that history is a rational process unfolding according to the logic of the dialectic has sparked extensive debate and reinterpretation. Arthur Schopenhauer, born in 1788 in Danzig, took a radically different approach from his predecessors. Schopenhauer's philosophy is grounded in a pessimistic view of human existence, emphasizing suffering and desire's central role in life. His principal work, The World as Will and Representation, argues that the fundamental reality is not rational but will a blind, irrational force that drives all phenomena. Schopenhauer believed that human desires are insatiable and lead to constant suffering. To escape this cycle, he advocated for asceticism, art, and compassion as ways to mitigate the impact of the will. His ideas on aesthetics, especially the notion that art provides a temporary respite from the suffering of the will, have been particularly influential in the philosophy of art and literature. Schopenhauer's work significantly impacted later thinkers, including Friedrich Nietzsche and the existentialists. Friedrich Nietzsche, born in 1844 in Röcken, is known for his provocative and often controversial ideas. Nietzsche's philosophy challenges conventional moral and philosophical beliefs, advocating for a reevaluation of values. His critique of Christianity, democracy, and traditional morality is famously captured in works like Thus Spoke Zarathustra, Beyond Good and Evil, and The Genealogy of Morals. Nietzsche introduced the concept of the Übermensch or Overman, a figure who transcends conventional morality to create new values. He also explored the idea of eternal recurrence, the notion that life eternally repeats itself in an infinite cycle. Central to Nietzsche's thought is the will to power, the driving force behind human behavior and creativity. Nietzsche's critique of modernity and his call for a radical rethinking of human existence have made him a central figure in existentialism, postmodernism, and contemporary philosophy. Martin Heidegger, born in 1889 in Meßkirch, is a pivotal figure in existentialism and phenomenology. Heidegger's magnum opus, Being and Time, seeks to address the fundamental question of being. Heidegger argues that traditional metaphysics has overlooked the question of what it means to be. He introduces the concept of Dasein, the being for whom being is a question. Heidegger's analysis of Dasein's modes of existence, including being in the world, being toward death, and authenticity, has had a profound impact on existentialist thought. His later work, often referred to as the turn, shifts focus towards language, art, and technology, exploring how these domains reveal the nature of being. Heidegger's philosophy has influenced a wide range of fields, from existentialism and hermeneutics to literary theory and architecture, though his association with National Socialism has also sparked significant controversy and debate. Karl Marx, born in 1818 in Trier, though primarily known as a revolutionary and economist, made substantial contributions to philosophy. Marx's materialist conception of history, often referred to as historical materialism, argues that economic structures shape social, political, and intellectual life, in works like the Communist Manifesto and Das Kapital. Marx critiques the capitalist system, describing how it leads to alienation and exploitation. He posits that the contradictions within capitalism will inevitably lead to its downfall and the rise of a classless society. Marx's ideas have had a profound impact on political theory, sociology, and economics, laying the groundwork for Marxist and communist movements worldwide. His critique of ideology and the concept of base and superstructure continue to influence contemporary critical theory and cultural studies. Jürgen Habermas, born in 1929 in Dusseldorf, represents a significant figure in contemporary German philosophy. Habermas is best known for his work in critical theory and his theory of communicative action. In the theory of communicative action, Habermas develops a framework for understanding how rational communication can lead to mutual understanding and consensus in democratic societies. He argues that modernity's promise of rationality and emancipation can be realized through communicative rationality in the public sphere. Habermas's work addresses a wide range of issues, from the role of the media and public discourse to the challenges of globalization and multiculturalism. His emphasis on deliberative democracy and the importance of dialogue has had a significant influence on political theory, ethics, and sociology. The contributions of these German philosophers have shaped the trajectory of Western thought in profound ways. From Kant's critical philosophy and Hegel's dialectical system to Schopenhauer's pessimism and Nietzsche's radical reevaluation of values, each thinker has left an indelible mark on the history of philosophy. Heidegger's existential analysis, Marx's critique of capitalism, and Habermas's theory of communicative action continue to resonate in contemporary philosophical debates. Together, they represent a rich and diverse tradition of philosophical inquiry that continues to inspire and challenge thinkers around the world. Their ideas not only reflect the intellectual currents of their times, but also address enduring questions about human existence, society, and the nature of reality. As we continue to engage with their works, we find new ways to understand and navigate the complexities of the modern world. The legacy of German philosophy, with its deep commitment to rigorous thought and critical reflection, remains a vital part of our intellectual heritage.
Good evening, everyone. I am John Kennedy, and today I want to talk about a critical issue affecting our environment: microplastic pollution in oceans and its alarming effects on marine life and humans. Microplastics are tiny plastic particles less than 5 millimeters in diameter, originating from larger plastic debris breaking down and from products like cosmetics and clothing. These plastics enter the ocean through various pathways, including runoff, wastewater, and direct disposal. Once in the ocean, they disperse widely, accumulating in different marine environments and creating significant ecological and health concerns. Marine creatures, from the smallest plankton to the largest whales, ingest microplastics, mistaking them for food. This ingestion occurs at all levels of the food chain, starting with plankton, which form the base of the marine food web. Plankton-consuming fish and other marine animals then consume these microplastics, and the particles continue to move up the food chain to larger predators, including those species consumed by humans. This pervasive spread is alarming because microplastics are not biodegradable and persist in the environment for extended periods. The presence of microplastics in the ocean has led to several adverse effects on marine life. Ingested microplastics can cause physical blockages in the digestive tracts of marine animals, leading to reduced feeding, malnutrition, and even starvation. Moreover, the ingestion of microplastics often results in chemical contamination, as these particles can absorb and concentrate harmful pollutants from the surrounding seawater. These contaminants, including heavy metals, pesticides, and persistent organic pollutants, can then enter the bodies of marine organisms, causing toxic effects. Research indicates that some marine species exhibit addiction-like behaviors towards microplastics due to their chemical composition. Additives and pollutants found in microplastics can mimic natural food substances, leading marine animals to consume them repeatedly. This repeated ingestion exacerbates the physical and chemical harm caused by microplastics, further endangering marine populations and disrupting ecosystem balance. The contamination of the marine food chain with microplastics has direct implications for human health. Humans consuming seafood risk ingesting microplastics, leading to potential health issues such as inflammation, cellular damage, and endocrine disruption. Microplastics carry toxic chemicals like pesticides, heavy metals, and persistent organic pollutants, which may leach into the human body upon ingestion. While the long-term health impacts of microplastic consumption are still being studied, preliminary findings suggest significant risks that necessitate urgent attention and action. Microplastic pollution is not confined to any single region but is a global problem. It affects oceans everywhere, from the Arctic to the Antarctic and all coastlines in between. The widespread nature of this pollution means that even the most remote and pristine marine environments are not immune to its effects. Coastal communities, in particular, face immediate threats from microplastic contamination, which can impact tourism, fishing industries, and local biodiversity. The presence of microplastics in beaches, estuaries, and coastal waters can deter tourists, affecting local economies dependent on tourism revenue. To address the severe and far-reaching impacts of microplastic pollution, a multifaceted approach is required. The most effective way to combat microplastic pollution is to reduce plastic consumption. This involves shifting away from single-use plastics and adopting sustainable alternatives. Reducing the production and use of plastics will decrease the amount of plastic waste entering the environment, and consequently, the amount of microplastics in the ocean. Improving waste management systems is crucial to prevent plastic debris from reaching waterways. This includes better recycling programs, advanced waste treatment facilities, and comprehensive public education on proper disposal methods. By ensuring that plastic waste is appropriately managed and does not enter the natural environment, we can significantly reduce the input of microplastics into the ocean. Supporting scientific research to understand the full impact of microplastics and developing innovative technologies to detect and remove them from the environment is essential. Research can provide valuable insights into the sources, distribution, and effects of microplastics, informing effective mitigation strategies. Additionally, technological advancements can offer new methods for removing microplastics from water bodies and treating plastic waste more efficiently. Advocating for stricter regulations on plastic production, use, and disposal is a critical step in addressing microplastic pollution. Policies that ban microbeads in personal care products and limit single-use plastics are essential measures. Regulatory frameworks should also promote the use of biodegradable and environmentally friendly materials, encouraging industries to adopt sustainable practices. Community engagement is vital for driving grassroots change and fostering a culture of environmental stewardship. Raising awareness about the dangers of microplastic pollution and involving communities in cleanup efforts, educational programs, and advocacy can empower individuals to take action. Local initiatives, such as beach cleanups and plastic reduction campaigns, can make a significant difference and inspire broader societal change. Each of us can make a difference by reducing our plastic footprint, supporting sustainable products, and participating in local cleanup activities. Simple actions like using reusable bags, bottles, and containers, avoiding products with microbeads, and properly recycling plastic waste can collectively have a substantial impact. As consumers, we can also advocate for sustainable practices by choosing products from companies committed to reducing plastic waste and supporting policies that promote environmental protection. Governments, industries, and communities must work together to address this issue comprehensively. Collaboration and shared responsibility are key to creating lasting solutions. Governments can implement and enforce regulations, provide funding for research and innovation, and promote public awareness campaigns. Industries can adopt sustainable practices, invest in alternative materials, and reduce plastic waste in production processes. Communities can lead local initiatives, educate members, and advocate for policy changes. Microplastic pollution is a severe environmental crisis with far-reaching impacts on marine life, ecosystems, and human health. By understanding the problem and taking proactive steps, we can mitigate its effects and protect our oceans. Let us commit to making conscious choices today for a cleaner, healthier ocean tomorrow. Our actions matter, and together we can turn the tide against microplastic pollution. Thank you for your attention and commitment to this critical issue. Let us all be champions for our oceans and the incredible life they support. Our collective efforts can make a significant difference in preserving the health and beauty of our marine environments for future generations. By taking action now, we can ensure that the oceans remain vibrant and life-sustaining ecosystems, free from the pervasive threat of microplastics. We must recognize that every piece of plastic we reduce, recycle, or properly dispose of contributes to a larger global effort to combat microplastic pollution. This issue transcends national boundaries and requires a united, global response. Together, we can advocate for policies that protect our oceans, support research that advances our understanding of microplastics, and adopt practices that reduce our plastic footprint. As we move forward, let us remember that the health of our oceans is intricately linked to the health of our planet and ourselves. By addressing microplastic pollution with urgency and determination, we can safeguard the diverse marine life that depends on clean oceans and ensure a sustainable future for all. In conclusion, let us not underestimate the power of individual actions and collective efforts. Each step we take towards reducing plastic pollution brings us closer to a world where marine ecosystems can thrive without the threat of microplastics. Let us inspire and motivate others to join this crucial fight, making a positive impact on our environment and leaving a lasting legacy of stewardship and care for the natural world. Thank you once again for your dedication to this cause. Let us continue to work together, spread awareness, and take meaningful actions to protect our oceans and the countless species that call them home. Together, we can create a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable world for generations to come.
The chaotic era of Japanese history from the 14th to the early 17th century encompasses several significant periods marked by political instability, social upheaval, and continuous warfare. These include the Nanboku-cho Northern and Southern Courts period, the Sengoku Warring States period, and the Azuchi Momoyama period. Here's a detailed overview of these tumultuous times. The Nanboku-cho period began with Emperor Go-Daigo's rebellion against the Kamakura shogunate, leading to the brief restoration of imperial rule known as the Kenmu Restoration 1333 to 1336. Go-Daigo sought to restore imperial power, which had been significantly weakened by the shogunate. After the Kamakura shogunate fell, Japan was divided into two rival courts: the northern court in Kyoto, supported by the Ashikaga shogunate, and the southern court in Yoshino, led by Emperor Go-Daigo and his successors. This division led to prolonged conflict as both courts vied for legitimacy and control. Continuous battles and political machinations between the two courts ensued. The Ashikaga shogunate, led by Ashikaga Takauji, eventually emerged victorious, leading to the unification of the courts in 1392 under the northern court. This consolidation ended the period of dual dynasties, although the political power of the emperor remained limited. This period highlighted the struggle between the imperial family and the emerging warrior class, setting the stage for further conflicts. The Ashikaga shogunate's establishment marked a shift in power dynamics, with the shogunate holding real political power while the emperor became a symbolic figurehead. The Sengoku period, also known as the Warring States period, began with the Onin War 1467 to 1477, a civil war triggered by succession disputes within the Ashikaga shogunate. The war devastated Kyoto and severely weakened the central government, leading to widespread anarchy. The power vacuum allowed regional warlords daimyo to assert their authority. With the central authority diminished, regional warlords seized control of their territories and engaged in continuous warfare to expand their power. This era saw the rise of powerful daimyo such as Oda Nobunaga, Takeda Shingen, and Uesugi Kenshin, who each sought to unify Japan under their control. The period was marked by the construction of numerous castles as power bases for the daimyo. These castles served not only as military fortresses but also as administrative centers and symbols of power. The architecture and design of these castles reflected the need for defense and the status of the daimyo. The chaos and heavy taxation led to numerous peasant revolts, such as the Iko-Eki uprisings, where militant Buddhist groups and peasants banded together against the daimyo. These uprisings highlighted the widespread discontent and the volatility of the period. Despite the warfare, the Sengoku period also saw economic growth, with the development of local markets, increased trade, and the rise of a merchant class. The constant need for supplies and the movement of armies stimulated economic activity and innovation. Oda Nobunaga began the process of unifying Japan through military conquests and innovative tactics, such as the use of firearms. He successfully captured Kyoto and ended the Ashikaga shogunate but was assassinated in 1582. His aggressive strategies and modernization efforts laid the groundwork for unification. Nobunaga's successor, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, continued the unification efforts. By 1590, he had effectively unified Japan under his control through diplomacy and military campaigns. Hideyoshi implemented several reforms to consolidate power, such as land surveys, the disarmament of peasants' sword hunts, and restrictions on social mobility. The Azuchi Momoyama period, named after Hideyoshi's Momoyama castle, was marked by a cultural renaissance. The era saw significant advancements in the tea ceremony, no theater, and decorative arts. The opulence and artistic achievements of the period reflected the stability and prosperity brought by unification efforts. Japan actively engaged in trade with Europe, particularly Portugal and Spain, leading to the introduction of new goods, ideas, and Christianity. The influx of foreign influences had a profound impact on Japanese culture, technology, and religion. Hideyoshi launched 2 invasions of Korea 1592 to 1598, aiming to conquer the Korean peninsula and eventually China. These campaigns were costly and ultimately unsuccessful, straining Japan's resources and leading to Hideyoshi's decline in power. The invasions highlighted Hideyoshi's ambition and the limitations of Japan's military capabilities. After Hideyoshi's death in 1598, a power struggle ensued. Tokugawa Ieyasu emerged victorious at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, effectively ending the Sengoku period. Ieyasu's victory marked the beginning of a new era of stability and centralized control. In 1603, Ieyasu was appointed shogun, establishing the Tokugawa shogunate, which would rule Japan for over 250 years, marking the beginning of the Edo period. The Tokugawa shogunate implemented policies to maintain peace, control the daimyo, and isolate Japan from foreign influences. The period from the 14th to the early 17th century in Japan was characterized by significant turmoil, marked by the fragmentation of central authority, continuous warfare among regional lords, and efforts toward unification. Despite the chaos, these centuries also saw significant cultural and economic developments, setting the stage for the stable and prosperous Edo period under Tokugawa rule. The legacies of figures like Oda Nobunaga, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, and Tokugawa Ieyasu are still remembered today for their roles in shaping Japanese history. The Nanboku-cho period's power struggle between the imperial family and the warrior class laid the groundwork for future conflicts, while the Sengoku period's constant warfare led to the rise of powerful daimyo and significant societal changes. The Azuchi Momoyama period's cultural and economic advancements, along with Hideyoshi's ambitious but ultimately unsuccessful military campaigns, paved the way for the unification and stability brought by the Tokugawa shogunate. This era's complex interplay of warfare, political maneuvering, and cultural development left an indelible mark on Japan's history, influencing its trajectory for centuries to come.
Disputing national liberation movements in terms of international commercial failures involves examining how these movements have impacted, or been impacted by, global economic systems and trade networks. Here are some key points to consider. National liberation movements often lead to economic disruptions as they can involve prolonged conflicts, sanctions, and economic blockades. These disruptions can result in the failure of international commercial activities. Trade embargoes and sanctions are common consequences, as liberation movements can lead to international sanctions against the country involved. These sanctions disrupt trade routes and international commercial relationships, leading to a decline in economic activities. Internal conflicts associated with liberation movements can destroy infrastructure, reduce productivity, and create an unstable environment that deters foreign investment and trade. Newly liberated nations often change their trade policies, which can be at odds with existing international commercial agreements. Protectionism is a common approach, as newly independent nations might adopt protectionist policies to protect nascent industries. These policies can conflict with the principles of free trade promoted by international commercial systems, leading to trade disputes and economic friction. Nationalization of industries previously controlled by foreign entities is another significant shift. This move can lead to international commercial disputes, loss of investor confidence, and withdrawal of foreign businesses. National liberation often leads to a realignment of international economic relations. Liberated nations might seek new trade partners, often aligning with countries that supported their liberation movements. This realignment can disrupt existing trade patterns and lead to the failure of established commercial ties. Economic isolation is a potential outcome, as some liberated nations may face economic isolation due to ideological differences with major global trading blocs, leading to reduced international trade and economic stagnation. Post-liberation periods often see significant institutional changes which can impact international commerce. Legal and regulatory changes are common, as newly independent nations may overhaul their legal and regulatory frameworks to better reflect their national interests. These changes can create uncertainties and complexities for international businesses, potentially leading to commercial failures. Governance issues are also prevalent, as weak governance structures in newly liberated nations can lead to corruption, inefficiency, and unpredictability, making it difficult for international commerce to thrive. Liberation movements can negatively impact multinational corporations operating in the affected regions. Expropriation and confiscation are risks, as multinational corporations may face the expropriation of their assets and operations in liberated nations. This can lead to significant financial losses and deter future international commercial investments. Market losses are another impact, as the instability and policy shifts that accompany liberation movements can result in multinational corporations losing significant market shares, impacting their global operations and profitability. The success of national liberation movements in terms of economic viability can be mixed, impacting long-term international commercial success. Sustainable development is a possibility, as some liberated nations successfully leverage their newfound independence to develop sustainable economic policies that integrate well into the global economy. These cases can eventually lead to a resurgence in international commercial activities. However, continued struggles are also common, as other nations may continue to struggle with economic management post-liberation, leading to prolonged periods of commercial failure and dependency on international aid. In conclusion, while national liberation movements aim to achieve political and economic autonomy, they often disrupt international commercial systems, leading to short and long-term economic challenges. The extent to which these movements result in commercial failure or success depends on a variety of factors, including governance, policy choices, and international support. The dynamic interplay between liberation movements and international commercial systems highlights the complexities involved in achieving both political independence and economic stability. This analysis underscores the importance of strategic planning and international cooperation in navigating the economic impacts of national liberation movements. Gorillas, known for their gentle and social behavior, exhibit forms of benevolence that can be traced back to their evolutionary processes. Here's how evolutionary mechanisms have shaped the benevolent behavior observed in gorillas. Gorillas live in cohesive social groups known as troops, typically consisting of one dominant male silverback, several females, and their offspring. This social structure fosters strong bonds and cooperative behavior. Kin selection theory explains that individuals are more likely to exhibit altruistic behavior towards relatives to ensure the survival of shared genes. In gorilla groups, the silverback often protects and cares for his offspring and related females, promoting group cohesion and survival. Gorilla mothers are known for their intense nurturing behavior. They provide extensive care, protection, and teaching to their infants, ensuring their survival and proper socialization. Gorillas have a long juvenile period, during which young gorillas learn social skills, foraging techniques, and group dynamics from their mothers and other group members. Gorillas engage in reciprocal altruism, where individuals help each other with the expectation that the favor will be returned. This includes grooming, sharing food, and supporting each other during conflicts. Grooming is a common social activity among gorillas that strengthens social bonds, reduces tension, and promotes group harmony. It's often exchanged for reciprocal benefits such as alliance formation and conflict resolution. Gorillas have evolved non-aggressive ways to resolve conflicts within the group, such as displays of submission, vocalizations, and gestures. This reduces the risk of injury and maintains group stability. The dominant silverback often mediates disputes within the group, using his authority to maintain peace and order. His role as protector and leader reinforces his status and benefits the group's cohesion. Gorillas have been observed displaying empathetic behaviors, such as comforting distressed individuals and showing concern for injured or ill group members. This empathy enhances group solidarity and individual well-being. Playful interactions and affectionate behaviors, such as hugging and gentle touching, are common among gorillas, particularly among juveniles. These behaviors foster strong emotional bonds and social integration. Benevolent behaviors enhance reproductive success and the survival of offspring. Cooperative breeding and group living provide a safe environment for raising young, ensuring the continuation of genes. Benevolent behaviors promote group cohesion, which is crucial for protection against predators, efficient foraging, and successful territory defense. A well-bonded group is more likely to survive and thrive. The benevolence seen in gorillas is not unique to them, but is also observed in other great apes, including chimpanzees and bonobos. This suggests that such behaviors have deep evolutionary roots within the primate lineage. Traits such as empathy, cooperation, and social bonding have been naturally selected because they offer significant survival and reproductive advantages in complex social environments. The benevolence exhibited by gorillas is a result of various evolutionary processes, including kin selection, reciprocal altruism, conflict resolution strategies, and the development of empathy and strong social bonds. These behaviors have evolved because they enhance group cohesion, survival, and reproductive success, illustrating the intricate ways in which evolution shapes social behavior in complex organisms like gorillas.